告通り我が部活への全員入部をここに宣言し了承する。
Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Higurashi. Last time was the epic hit the can war. The big club qualification match, which the young ones were getting thrashed until Keiichi came to save the day. So yeah, that was an epic bout. And as Mion says, our club got a whole lot bitter, man. You think all the little kids are gonna help stop Tatano this time? That'd be crazy. Freaking Tomita and Okamura going ham against the Mountain Nuts would be insane. But yeah, let's just get right into this. Pachi pachi pachi! Right after Mion's proclamation, a thunderous cry and loud applause resounded all at once.
おめでとうみんな。本当にすっごく頑張ったよ。ここまで頑張るとは正直恐れ入りましたわ。
I mean, it got carried by Keiichi. And Rita kind of cheesed it at the end, but you know what? It's all about the spirit. No one, I mean, they kind of gave up, but not really. They got back on their feet after a Keiichi buff, which is fair.
皆さんのこと心から歓迎させてもらいますわ。みんなとってもファイトさんなのです。我が部にようこそなのですよ。
The biggest twist is that this person is actually Mion, not Shion. I totally thought they were going for that. By the way, they changed her gym uniform. Her sleeves aren't rolled up! I noticed these details. Rena, Satoto, and even Rika-chan, who had regained her vitality, all welcomed our new members with wholehearted smiles. There's a strange sense of unity in all our hearts that only those who truly fought hard could share.
それにしても大丈夫なのか？この後の授業。
ああ、大丈夫大丈夫。そのためのこれなんだからさ。
As she said that, Mion held up the can that we had been using in our game until a moment ago. I see, so she bribed Chia-sensei with that curry?
ああ、静粛に静粛に。実はまだこれだけじゃないんだよね。だから静粛に。
Everyone followed Mion's command in unison. After everyone calmed down, Mion cleared her throat and took a look at everyone, then took a breath and spoke up.
長らくこの学校のクラス委員長を務めさせていただきました。私、園崎ミオンですが、今日限りに
What?
委員長の座を引退したいと思います。
My class representative! No, it's getting passed on to Keiichi. What the heck? Everyone cried out in shock. That's right, Mion is our leader. Our leader is Mion. That fact was synonymous with the school itself. And yet, Mion wanted to step down as class representative?
ミオン
It's crazy.
何考えてんだよ。冗談だったら
The
立ちが
school
悪すぎるぞ。
the school is doomed without her leadership?
いや、冗談でもなく本気も本気なんだけど。
本気だったらなお悪いわ。いくら新入部員の受け入れに反対してたからって、そんなことで誰もお前のことを悪く思ったりしない。だから。
ケイちゃん、ちょっと黙って最後まで聞いて。お願い。
Mion waited for the restless younger students to calm down, then continued.
そろそろね。私も受験生だしさ。
Studying? You don't study.
いろいろと忙しくもなるし、卒業してこの学校を出た後のことも考えなきゃいけない。
I thought it was guaranteed you're just trying to rule Hinamizawa and the rest of this prefecture.
だから、
It's your destiny.
後任を誰にするかって今年の春からずっと考えていたんだ。
Oh, yeah, we already know it's gonna be Keiichi. Also, they showed that in Go and Sotsu, kind of. He kind of took over, right? So that's spoiled by Go and Sotsu. Though I don't know if they really connected it, but it made sense, especially after what Keiichi just did now.
みーちゃん。でも委員長ってのは責任もあるし仕事もある。
何よりクラスのみんなを引っ張っていけるリーダーシップがなきゃ、私みたいにただの雑用係になっちゃうからさ。任せる相手が見つからなくて結構悩んだ。
Saying but, Mion raised her head. Huh? Something about her was strange. Mion looked brighter and more radiant than usual, and I thought it was pretty cute. Based?
ケイちゃんがひなみ沢に引っ越してきた時、なんとなく感じたんだ。
It's our savior of Hinamizawa?
面白いし行動力はあるし、
Mr. Maibara?
それにものすごくみんなに優しいやつだなって。そんなケイちゃんだからいい委員長になってくれると思うし、みんなもついていけると思う。だから。
Then Mion looked at me. Her eyes were glistening, and it felt like they were drawing me in, but it showed me that her words had no hint of her usual trickery.
ケイちゃん、私は
It's me.
あんたに委員長やってもらいたい。私の後みんなを任せたい。
ミオン。
大丈夫。あんたならみんなのこと任せられる。正しいことを強い思いで貫き通して、たとえ苦しい状況でもみんなを励まして勇気づけてくれる。そんなケイちゃんだからきっとみんなをまとめていけるし、私もケイちゃんなら多分これからもずっと信じられると思うんだ。
それじゃあミオン、最初から？
This was also a test to see if Keiichi would step up and help the younger students. That's why she was acting differently. I knew she could have no flaw. Thank you, Dame. Mion smiled at my question. When I turned to look around, Ren and Satoto were making the same face. They weren't on it. When she tried to push the younger students out like that, it was all for the sake of learning about me.
なんか試されてたみたい
You
だな。
were. Big brain Mion. God. Truly the best girl. I know there's some Mion haters in my subscribers. I love you, but delusional. You're delusional.
回りくどいことをしたことは謝るよ。でも知りたかったんだ。ケイちゃんが本当にこの役目を引き受けてくれるかどうかってね。
After hearing that explanation, there's no longer any reason to feel uncomfortable. In fact, I felt a little happy.
引き受けてくれる？ケイちゃん。
俺は。
Just then, I noticed that all the classmates who were silently listening to Mion were now staring at me. They were all smiling and I could feel their warmth. I turned to Rena.
ケイチくん、頑張って。
I turned to Satoto.
ケ
What
イ
does
チ
she
さんなら
says?
きっと大丈夫ですわ。
Yo, rare Keiichi praise by Satoto. Take it when you can. And then Rita-chan.
ケイチ、
But instead of her usual fight on catchphrase,
ケイチしかいないと思うのですよ。
on that encouragement, I
みんな俺についてこれるか。
Yeah! Pachi, pachi, pachi! They all cheered in unison, and then they broke out into applause.
おめでとう、
What
マ
that?
ーバラ君。
Ah, what's up, Chia? She was here too, huh?
頑張れよ。
Oh, even the principal. That's crazy. I guess it is an official position, you know? Then I noticed that Chia sensei and the principal had come out of the school building to give me their blessing with smiles on their faces. What a good day. What is this? This feeling of satisfaction. It feels better than getting a good score on a test. It feels better than winning in club activities and games. I'm filled with happiness and satisfaction. It feels like something hot is welling up deep in my chest. The sky had turned red. Before I realized, the sun had already gone down, dyeing the straw yard and the straw building in the hue of sunset. The familiar, lonely voice of the Higurashi cried out. It blended together with everyone's voices and warm thoughts, and sounded like they were congratulating me. Yay. It's wholesome. The next day. Today, ever since the morning, the laughter never stopped. What that?
そうですか。
What's happening here?
ずいぶん白熱した大激闘だったみたいですね。
もう最高に盛り上がったのでございますわ。
Was this regular? I didn't know if this was the school nurse place or the actual clinic. So this is the Satoko and Rika checkup.
最後の圭一さんの特攻は私たちの部活の歴史に残る名場面でしたのよ。
いやいや残念。ぜひとも実際に見てみたかったものですよ。話を聞いているだけでも楽しそうな雰囲気が伝わってくるようですから。
Irie listened to Satoko's story with a smile on his face while jotting diagnostic information down on a medical chart. Satoko was holding her head high and making exaggerated gestures while joyously telling the story. It seemed like she was still excited about it even now, a few days later.
しかし
Time skip.
確か前原さんはひなみ沢に引っ越してきてそんなに日が経っていませんよね。それでミオンさんの後任で委員長とは結構荷が重くありませんか？
最初は私もレナさんもそう考えていましたわ。もう少しひなみ沢の生活に慣れてからでも遅くないのではございませんのって。でもこの前の関係勝負で
Yeah,
確信いた
anyone
しま
would
した
be
の。
convinced after that, man.
圭一さんはきっと面白い委員長さんになってくださいますわよ。
On that point, I secretly agreed. I'm sure in many ways, a club centered around Keiichi will be one of the greatest things in this village. After all, even our usual penalty games for him made for a lively story among the villagers. I had the feeling Keiichi would stop coming to school if he heard that, so the fact needs to remain a secret from him.
なるほど。
Village clown.
さとこちゃんがそこまで言うなら私の心配するところではありませんね。
I'm guessing this is Rika POV too, unless it's Irie POV.
ぜひ今度の試合でも我がひなみ沢ファイターズの助っ人として大暴れしてもらいたいもんですよ。
またゴルフクラブを持って殴り込みに来るのですよ。
Classic.
あの時は最高に笑いましたわ。
Satoko let out a huge booming laugh while thinking back on that lovely spectacle. Then she started talking about Keiichi's one-on-one battle with that elite high school level pitcher. Excuse me, put some respect on his name. His name is Kamita? You went to Toshin? Food pervert? Don't disrespect my boy like that. And her home run right afterwards. She and Irie seemed to be getting excited. Witnessing that spectacle gave me a warm feeling too. It was delightful. Anyway, these past 2 weeks, nearly everything to be talked about have been related to Keiichi. I wonder if Satoko noticed. Anytime she spoke to me about a bright topic to cheer me up when I'm feeling down, the main topic is always about Keiichi. But on top of that, Satoko herself seems quite fond of Keiichi. True? Keiichi pilled? And as proof of that, Satoko always seemed to have a delightful smile on her face, devoid of any gloom or shadows, anytime we talked about Keiichi.
しかしそれにしてもリカさんは作詞ですね。最後の最後に願える。
Yeah, that was some tomfoolery.
願えるとは人聞きが悪いのです。
It is?
立ち馬に乗ったと言ってほしいのです。
But he would have lost if you didn't intervene? So was he really the winning horse?
さすがはリカさん。正気を見事に読んだわけですか。
まったくリカには油断も隙もありませんわ。まさかあんな場面でリカに裏切られるとは予想外でしたもの。 今度からはリカの動きにも要注意でございましてよ。
Takano! Let's go! She's back! We only saw her, well, we saw her sprite earlier this arc, but we only heard her voice in, the Minai trilogy. In her patented nurse outfit, too. Wonder how Rika feels about this introduction. It's kind of awkward. Is that the same nurse outfit? I don't know, it looks different to me, but I guess it's just been a while.
僕がフォローしないさとこは石のたぬきさんなのですよ。
That?
なんですって意味はわかりませんが、聞き捨てなりませんわ。
I don't know either, Satoto. Don't sweat it.
ニパ
I shifted my upper body to evade Satoto's reaching hand. Satoto tried to get up from the chair in frustration, but Irie stopped her with a bitter smile on his face.
はいはい、さとこちゃんの診察はまだですよ。最後に注射が残ってますからね。
注射。そうでございましたわ。
Your vitamin shots. Upon hearing that, Satoto quickly became as meek as a lamb. Standing beside her, Takano sterilized Satoto's left arm with alcohol, and Satoto held the arm out to Irie with her eyes closed. Bad vibe. My vibes, they're gone again! An unpleasant feeling began to well up, so I looked at the mirror on the white wall of the exam room. Gazing at my reflection, I could immediately tell how stiff I looked. Satoto was stiff and tense, but Takano comforted her with a cheerful smile. However, now that I could see the darkness lurking behind that smile, it sent a chill coursing through my entire body. That's no good, Rika Furude. Calm down. Act more calm and natural. Don't get so nervous. So far, things are still alright. So far, things are still.
はい、
Don't let them know they know that you know.
終わりましたよ。
あっという間でしたわね。
Shots aren't that bad. I remember crying when I got my first shot as a kid, though. It doesn't hurt that much. Just don't look at it. When I heard that, I looked back towards Satoto. Irie was already getting up to go wash his hands, and Takano was administering Satoto with post-injection disinfectant.
すっかり注射にも慣れたみたいね。以前の大騒ぎが嘘みたいだわ。
大騒ぎというほど騒いではいませんわ。ちょっと暴れたことはありますけどね。入江の陣中に聖剣好きしておいて、ちょっととは奥ゆかしいのです。
It's a philtrum. I actually want to Google that. Lore? Medical lore? Philtrum. The vertical groove between the base of the nose and the border of the upper lip. Ah, where are the mustaches?
たまたま手を振り回したら当たっただけですわ。
Casually swinging my fist is a crazy line. Sadoko desperately tried to defend herself, but a hit that clean would have been impossible without deliberate aim. Incidentally, the philentrum is the weak spot between the nose and the mouth. Irie let out a "Gwa" scream like some kind of manga character when she hit him, and his eyes spun for a little while.
そうそう、私も腕を引っかかれたわね。おかげで二の腕にミミズバレができちゃって大変だったのよ。
Teehee.
ごめんなさいと後でちゃんと謝りましたわ。高野さんはしおさんと同じぐらいしつこいお方ですわね。
ごめんなさい。あんまりムキになるさとこちゃんが可愛いからついね。
Jesus. But true? Takano gently stroked Satoto's head after saying that. Satoto uttered a faintly sulking moo, 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 but she might have actually liked it because she didn't fight it. For the time being, it felt like a very nice, friendly atmosphere. Satoko doesn't seem to be in any danger, so I'll keep playing along.
入江は覚えていますか？あの時のこと。
もちろん。
The legendary
あの
Satoko
時の
punch.
パンチが私のハートをキューンと打ち抜いたのですよ。
Through the philtrum straight to the heart.
ああ、今思い出しても心がときめきますね。
もう少し本気で殴ってもよかったようですわ。
あらさとこちゃん、恋だって認めたわね。
Intellectually owned.
いいんですいいんです
Classic Takano dub.
恋とはすなわち恋、そして愛情の証、そして私の心もバッチコーイってな感じにウェルカムですよ。
This is where you run or blow the whistle, Satoko. As he said that, Irie whittled his hips and struck a pose like some kind of nonsensical dance. It was frankly unpleasant, but he himself seemed completely oblivious to that, which made it even worse.
そうです。あれはまさに神が下された典型とも言うべき衝撃、そして感動。この入江京介、はっきりと悟ったのです。私の理想とも言うべきメイドにふさわしいのはこの子しかいないと。そう、これは神から下された私の使命。さとこちゃんメイド化計画こそまさにノブレス・オブ・リッジなのです。
There was no opening to interrupt, but I didn't want to step forward either.
にしてもまあ、ご自分のキテレツしちゃらかな趣味をあそこまで熱く、
You need to run, Satoko.
いえ、熱く語れますわね。
ほら、よく言うでしょ。天才と何かは紙一重だって。
私はむしろこれまで問題が起きなかったことに神の祝福を信じたいですわ。
Both of them are terrible, but I did secretly agree on that. And then I remembered that I couldn't waste the entire day on idle chatter.
さとこ、早く検査を終えないと遅れてしまうのですよ。
I pointed at a clock on the wall as I stated that, or as I said that. We're planning to celebrate KG becoming the class representative by having a barbecue party, yo, at the Fude Shrine grounds today. That's why we're still wearing our school uniforms on a Sunday. But if this idle banter continues, we'll miss our scheduled meeting time.
ああ、そうでございましたわ。それでは高野さん、お願いしてもよろしいかしら？
はいはい、それじゃあ行きましょう。
For the time being, we decided to move quickly to meet our schedule, and watched Irie as he made some heroic pose, yelling and looking up toward the sky. Satoko headed to the desk in the back of the exam room with Takano. I poured myself a glass of tea from the teapot on the nearby desk, and took a sip while waiting a little while longer. At the desk in the back, Satoko was answering Takano's questions one by one. At first glance, it might look like some kind of quiz game, but it's actually an important test to measure the progression of the disease. As I watched, the mixed feeling that neighed at me earlier suddenly came back to me. Huh? No, my vibes. Again. I don't understand. No matter how much I think about it, I don't understand. Why? Why is Takano our... Mio Takano, commander of the Mountain Gods, the special forces unit keeping watch over me, and the true culprit who killed me. Simmering black emotions came back to me when I thought back then. I wanted to release the murderous rage pooling in the bottom of my chest. Suddenly, I looked at the desk. the syringe that was administered to Satoko was laying on the silver tray, shining brightly. Right here, right now, I could quietly approach Tatano. If I grabbed the syringe from this desk, took aim while she was defenseless, and plunged it into her neck to send air into her blood vessels, then I'm sure.
バカ。
I shook my head to stave off those brief, dark thoughts. No matter how gentle she acts, Tatano is the commander of the mountain gods, a soldier. To be fair, she's not actually a real soldier. That's just a position she got promoted to. And I'm sure she has like some fighting ability, but she hasn't trained as a soldier, I imagine, or at least she's not like experienced soldier. Even if I took her by surprise, she could easily repel an attack from a child. Since I'm unarmed, at best we would take each other out. At any rate, I'd just be speeding up the hands on the clock of hell, approaching the day of my death. Plus, why does Tatano want to kill me in the first place? And what will happen to Hinamizawa after I die? I need to know at least that much, so until then I need to refrain from doing anything hasty, unfortunately.
リカさん
み、
大丈夫ですか？なんだかまだ元気がないようですが。
It seemed Ire had finally returned to this world before I turned back, as I found him staring at me with an anxious expression.
み、平気なのです。ただの夏風邪だと思うのですよ。
それならいいんですが。何か薬を出しましょうか？
薬は必要ないのです。よく寝てよく食べていればもうすぐ治るはずなのです。
そうですか。わかりました。もし何か異常があったらちゃんと言ってくださいね。できる限り力になりますから。
大丈夫なのです。入江たちの研究には影響がありませんから心配には及ばないのです。
あ、そうですか。
A mixed expression suddenly floated to Irie's face, and he turned his gaze downward. I immediately regretted saying that. I had inadvertently trampled on Irie's goodwill. Irie is using Satoko and me as test subjects to research the pathogens prevalent in Hinamizawa. In other words, we're his guinea pigs. But Irie is aware that the medication trials, blood sample collection, and medical interviews is being conducted on us are inhumane, and I realize how ashamed he is of that. What's more, his fondness for Satoko and guilt over her treatment are so strong and earnest that I can never picture him as some selfish researcher. His motivation is sad and reciprocal, but still, it doesn't feel right to consider it some casual courtesy. I wholeheartedly reflected on my carelessness.
ごめんなさいなのです。意地悪な言い方をしてしまいました。
え？ああ、いえ、大丈夫ですよ。耳の痛いところではありますが、確かに私たちはあなたたち二人に相当無理をさせている。申し訳ないことです。
Irie removed his glasses and wiped the fog from them as he said that. His expression looked pained, and I felt deeply sorry.
そのおかげで生活ができていますから別に平気なのです。それよりも研究の方はどんな感じに進んでいるのですか？
研究の成果はお二人のご協力のおかげで確かに上がっています。でも具体的な対策にまではまだたどり着けていない。あと一息なんですが、どれも決め手に欠けて満足には程遠いのが現状です。
では、さとこの病気は？
現在は安定してレベル3マイナスを保っている小康状態です。それでも完治には程遠いレベルです。それに不測の事態が起きてしまうと再度発病しても不思議ではない。悔しいですよ。せめてあと少し時間と資金が許されるなら、あと3年という期間内で末期症状からの回復にどこまで迫れるか。
It hit it eventually, I
入
think.
江はよくやってくれているのです。聡子も僕もとても感謝してるのですよ。
Well, Satoko doesn't know about it, but I'm sure she'd be grateful.
すみません。そう言ってもらえると少しは救われます。
Irei donned a smile as he said that, finally seeming relieved. Irei mentioned once before that the research into Hinamizawa syndrome will be concluded 3 years from now. After that, this clinic will be converted to a normal private medical facility, and all the large-scale equipment will be transferred to a bigger hospital in Dodora.
入江、
Dodora?
あなたは3年経った後はどうするつもりですか？
偶然治療薬を発見できたおかげで、いくつかの医療施設からお招きをいただきました。正直に言って、ここに来た時はそれが私の望みではあったんですが、今はできれば。
Irei gently squinted his eyes while looking at Satoko, who was still receiving her medical examination, but when he noticed my gaze, he suddenly turned back to me with an embarrassed smile on his face.
それはともかく、夏風邪といっても決してバカにはできませんから。あまり冷たいものを取りすぎないよう、食生活には注意してくださいね。
わかりましたのです。でも聡子に任せると楽だからといってそうめんになることが多いのですよ。
I love this Satoko slander. It's always so
聞
funny.
こえてましたよ、リカ。
Uh-oh.
そうめんに
Busted.
したのは食欲がないってあなたが言うからでございましょうが。
こらこら、さとこちゃん。時間も計ってるんだから、こっちに集中して。
After that scolding from Takano, Satoko begrudgingly swiveled her chair back toward her. Apparently they were conducting psychological tests over there using pictures.
さとこちゃんも心配していましたよ。内緒ですが、夏風邪によく効く薬はないか、食べ物はどんなものがいいのか、なんて毎日買い物帰りに立ち寄っていましたから。
知らなかったのです。
優しい子です、さとこちゃん
True.
は。
Very true.
だからこそ、私はこの病気の解明のために自分の持つ全てを捧げて彼女を救いたい。そのためなら。
ありがとうなのです。
I spoke sincerely to Irei, and again I was convinced he was an honest researcher with no intention to do harm. So, this plan is Takano acting alone? If so, what is her intention?
はい、もしもし、入江です。
東京から凱旋です。そちらへ回します。
I could hear a loud voice coming through the receiver. Right, I guess it's already time.
ああ、リサさんですね。
Risa.
電話は所長室で取りますから、そっちへ回してください。
Yuri gave that answer, then hung up the receiver. Then I heard another phone ring off in the distance.
リカさん、すみません。東京からの電話なので、ちょっと失礼します。
いってらっしゃいなのです。ニパー。
Yuri exited the room and headed back to the director's office. When I looked back at Satoko, she was still in the middle of her screening. I thought it said scheming.
高野、ちょっとお外の空気を吸ってきてもいいですか？
ええ、構わないわよ。こちらはもう少し時間がかかりそうだから。
いいか、先に行くのはなしでございますわよ。
Satoto looked up from the picture book she had been studying to glare at me. Sheesh. It seems like my credibility has considerably fallen since my earlier betrayal. You're deeply in my debt, Keiichi.
大丈夫なのですよ。お日様に当たって元気をもらってくるだけなのです。
Vitamin D, baby.
いつからリカはひまわりになったんですの？ま、了解ですわ。私もとっととこのテストを終わらせて呼びに行きますから、待ってていてくださいませ。
はいはい、それじゃあ頑張りましょうね、さとこちゃん。それじゃあ次は。
I made my way out of the exam room without even listening to Takano finish. Even though it was still morning, the sunlight was so intense that it blinded me the moment I stepped outside. And the weather was scorching today too. The sky was a deep navy blue with some small, fluffy clouds. I could hear the loud cries of the cicadas coming from the trees all around me, and I took a seat on the shaded portion of the stone steps in front of the entrance, while wiping the sweat from my whole forehead.
前原委員長、
Teehee.
今日のパーティーはきっと大盛り上がりなのですよ。
Whispering that to myself, I thought back on this world unlike anything I'd experienced before, and where Keiichi became the class rep. This world I'm now in began with Hanyu's absence. That alone was enough to make it feel like a completely unprecedented experience. But on top of that, the human relations in this world have changed slightly compared to before. For example, Keiichi has become very well known and is actively taking on leadership duties. Also, Shion has a very close relationship with Satoko, and she's maintaining good relations with the club members. It was also a bit of a surprise that the classmates and the other villagers had accepted Keiichi and thought so favorably of him. Until now, while I respected him, it was enough to make me feel a little like a stranger here. Come to think of it, that reminds me of what Shion said in the nurse's office. What'd she say?
信じるのは難しいけど、信じなきゃ始まらないって誰かが言っていた気がします。
Those words brought back memories. There's something Keiichi said in a previous world while trying to rescue Satoko from Teppei. Shion was getting out of control and desperately wanted to help Satoko, but when she heard that, she completely stopped thinking of murder. True. Minagroshi arc. Good times.
お前を生かせればシオンのいない世界になる。その世界ではいなくなったお前のことをずっと思って毎日うつむいている聡子がいるんだ。俺たちがどうやって慰めてもその場だけは元気そうにするがすぐにまたうつむいてしまう。そんな悲しい世界があるんだ。俺は聡子にそんな悲しい世界を見せたくない。俺たちが描く世界は昨日までがそうだったように
Riotous.
みんなで楽しく過ごして暴れて遊べるあの世界だ。もちろんおじの野郎なんかに二度と聡子を脅かさせるような真似をさせない。それがどういう方法なのか今この場では確かに思いついていない。でもそれは絶対に思いつく。絶対だ。だから俺を信じろ。
That happened in a previous world, but it's possible that Keiichi and the others were able to carry those memories and past experiences to this one, like me. And then I thought it over. Were these changes good or bad for me?
それこそ考えても仕方ないのですが。
I suddenly laughed at my foolish question. From the time being, I tried to sort out my situation by evaluating the advantages and disadvantages of this world that was so unlike anything I had experienced so far. First, the main advantage, I know the identity of the enemy aiming to take my life. Until now, I always had to be careful with my actions to avoid being trampled upon. So for the first time, I had the option to be proactive. Depending on my actions, I may be able to steer this world to my will. And now, the main disadvantage. Needless to say, it's that Hanyu isn't here. Honestly, when she was here, she was always so talkative and annoying. But now that she's gone, and I'm unable to consult with her about the future, it's a feeling I've never tasted before. I'm afraid this may be the final world. Those two concerns have constantly been by my side. And the result that brought me was that even though the objective and the enemy had been made clear, the fact that this is a cruel game where not even a single failure is allowed has forced me to think carefully about how best to confront them. In other words, it's like a game of blackjack. If you draw a card and your total exceeds 21, you bust. And even if you want to compete with safe numbers, if your opponent's numbers exceeded yours, you have no choice but to submit to them. And what's worse, the game can be decided by a score of 21. In other words, there's no clear standard for judging your relative offense or defense capabilities. So even though I've succeeded in retaining those memories, I haven't actually increased my odds of success. Whether I sit down and wait for fate to arrive, or step forward to make my own destiny, the risk is still the same. In fact, there's even a chance that unnecessary movements could heighten the risk.
情けないのです。
I was disgusted with myself every time I thought back on it. Didn't Keiichi and the other club members say it's worthless to give up without trying? That's right. What would Keiichi do in this situation? For some reason, Keiichi Maibara, the most interesting person in all of the times I've experienced thus far, came to mind. I recalled the words he shouted to me once before.
調子に乗るなよ、リカちゃん。運命を読めるなんていい加減なことを言っちゃいけないぜ。男にとって宿命と運命という言葉はもっともっと尊くて熱い意味がこもってるんだ。そんなやすやすと読めるようなもんじゃねえ。
みーん。
さっきリカちゃんはマスターが100億長者ゲームを持ってくることを運命だと言った。偶然であったとしても的中したのだからリカちゃんが正しいと言わざるを得ないさ。でもな、こうも言ったよな。
何ですか？
俺が100億長者ゲームで戦うことも運命だってな。ならその運命とやらを俺がぶち壊してやろうじゃないか。
Boom. Yeah, that was a sit scene. That was a sit one. Keiichi definitely said that back then, and he proved he was right. Now, it wasn't just in the past worlds. Even in this world, Keiichi was fighting on behalf of the younger students who wanted to join the club, never giving up, even in the face of an overwhelming disadvantage. I still don't know why I suddenly decided to help him back then, but oddly enough, I don't regret it at all. Keiichi had enough power to make me think so. Can I be as strong as Keiichi? Right now, I have two goals to accomplish. The first is a selfish desire to ensure my own survival, and the other is to reveal the truth behind Takano's conspiracy. My future actions hinge on a decision over which of those I consider more important. In which case my priority should be... They're both fire? You know what though, this is a good time to leave it on a cliffhanger. I know don't worry, next one we'll definitely get to the barbecue and read it too. I know we're probably close to it, but yeah. Wrap it up, you know, it's an average sized episode. I can't really complain after the Giga episode last time. But yeah, thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you next time as we choose our option and then go to the barbecue to celebrate Keiichi's new position as class rep and club leader, I assume? Probably when Mion graduates. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.